All right, as a church, we're kind of in a mode right now of abandoning ourselves to the love of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And we prayed the novena to the Sacred Heart. We're enthroning him in our homes. We're doing the first Friday's devotion, and we're serving the poor like he would serve them. And last Sunday, the Archbishop consecrated this entire archdiocese to the Sacred Heart, and 5,000 people joined him in processing that heart through the streets of Portland. I know that many of us were there. It was very, very moving. On Thursday night, the bishops of this country consecrated the entire United States to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And on Friday, we celebrated the solemnity of the Sacred Heart. Why are we doing all of this? Why such a big emphasis on the heart of Jesus right now? I propose one reality: reparation. We hear that word, but we might not know what it means. Reparation, in a general sense, just a regular general sense, means, quote, repairing, making amends, or offering compensation for a wrong, injury, or disorder. So it's more than saying I'm sorry. It includes some concrete act that seeks to restore what was damaged, like justice or trust, love, honor, communion, whatever was lost in that action. In our Catholic faith, it means trying to make amends for sins we've committed and their effects. So we go to confession. If we are sincerely sorry, we have the intention of not doing it again, our sins are forgiven. But the effect of those sins, the effect that they had on us and on other people, remain. That's why we get a penance. The penance is to heal the wound that the sin caused and to order the disorder that came from it by God's grace. Okay, makes sense so far? Good, because we got to understand this and one other thing in order to have devotion to the Sacred Heart. The other thing is knowing and acknowledging that Jesus had and has a human heart. It says in the gospel, his heart was moved with pity for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. That's a human heart. Remember, he is one divine person, the Logos, the second person of the Trinity, through which the Father speaks all of being into existence. But he has two natures, a divine nature and a human nature. That's what the incarnation is. In his human nature, he has a heart that moves and feels just like ours does. And that means he can be hurt. You can't hurt God, it's impossible. That's like a whole other talk as to why that's impossible. But incarnating himself, we kind of got to stop and think about the incredible decision that God made to open himself up to experiencing all the pains and the sufferings that we experience when he was completely immune to them before. Jesus has a human heart, and he chose it willingly, knowing that it would cause him unimaginable pain. Why? Because that's how great his love is for us. It burns with an eternal, infinite fire for each of us, individually, uniquely. And that love is constantly coming down. It's constantly showering down on us. It never stops. If we mess up, if we turn our back on him, if we sin, his love remains constant. Totally and utterly, eternally constant. He never wavers in his devotion to us. We make these devotions to the heart that love comes out of because all of us, in one way or another, intentionally or unintentionally, tell him no. In our sin, we say no to his love. That's what's going on there. It's not breaking an arbitrary rule. It's refusing relationship. Praying these prayers, making these devotions, they're concrete acts that seek to restore or repair the wounds that we've caused in the heart of Jesus. Because when you love somebody, when you really love them, and you hurt them, you go beyond the I'm sorry to the I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to help heal the hurt I've caused in your heart. It's natural when there's real love there to do that. So the Mass that I offered on the Feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, I offered for one particular intention, that all the sins that have ever been committed by anybody associated with this parish, especially the pastors, past and present, would be blotted out by the blood and water flowing from the pierced heart of Jesus. Why? So that we could just start anew, fresh, reconciled to him, setting our hearts on consoling him by letting him do what he wants to do the most, to love us with that unique individual love. This is the greatest act of reparation that we could make to his heart, to simply let him love us how he wants to love us. Let's set our will on that, order our families around that, and in the process become the kind of people that live in a type of constant delight of knowing that they are the object of God's infinite affection.